We are on day 4 today, and the story is about the woman with the issue of blood, or the woman that bled. So here is a beautiful scene from The Chosen on that episode, and I'll try to remember to put a link so you guys can watch that scene because it is so powerful. So here is her story, and it can be found in Matthew 9:20 through 22, Mark 5:24 through 34, and Luke 8:42 through 48. So when I did the lesson the other night, I had made these little makeshift tassels. I did not want to order the real ones off of Amazon because I think technically they're supposed to be attached to the corners of the garment, and definitely don't want to be disrespectful in any way, but there would be tassels at the corner of their garment. So that is what she is trying to touch, the fringe of his garment. So for 12 years, my life felt like a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. The bleeding began without warning, and no one could tell me why. At first, I thought it would stop after a few days, but it didn't. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and then years. I did everything I could to find a cure. Every doctor in town knew my name. I spent all the money I had on treatments, ointments, herbs, prayers, rituals. Nothing worked. The shame of it all was just unbearable. According to the law, I was unclean. No one could touch me, and I wasn't allowed to touch anyone else. I wasn't just sick. I was isolated, forgotten, and invisible. But then I heard about him, Jesus. People said he was a healer. They spoke of miracles, blind men seeing, lame men walking, even the dead coming back to life. At first I couldn't believe it. Could this be real? Could he possibly help someone like me? One day, news spread that he was coming to our town. I didn't think. I just acted. I left my house and followed the crowd. The streets were packed. People were everywhere, shouting his name, reaching for him. I was terrified, but I couldn't turn back. I kept thinking, what if he rejects me? What if he calls me unclean like everyone else? But then another thought grew louder. What if he can heal me? I didn't want to stop him or draw attention to myself. I thought, if I can just touch his robe, even the edge of it, that will be enough. I pushed my way through the crowd, trying not to draw attention. My heart was racing as I stretched out my hand. My fingers barely brushed the fringe of his garment. And then it happened. I felt something inside me change. The bleeding stopped instantly. I knew it. After 12 long years, my body was healed. I wanted to slip away unnoticed, but Jesus stopped. He turned around and asked, "Who touched me?" I froze. My heart was pounding in my chest, and the crowd was silent as the disciples questioned him. "Lord, there are so many people around you. How can you ask who touched you?" But he insisted. He knew. I couldn't hide anymore. So slowly I stepped forward and I fell at his feet, trembling. With tears streaming down my face, I told him everything. My illness, suffering, my hope, my touch. And then he looked at me. Not with judgment, not with annoyance, but with love. A love so deep and pure, it felt like he could see straight through my soul. His eyes held no trace of disgust or pity, only compassion. It was as though he was telling me without words, "I see you. I know your pain. You are not forgotten." The world around me seemed to fade, and in that moment, it was just me and him. I felt the weight of those 12 long years lift from my shoulders. The shame that had clung to me, the fear, the isolation, it all dissolved under the warmth of his gaze. Then he spoke. His voice was steady, gentle, but it carried a power that filled me with peace. Peace I had never known. "Daughter," he said, and my breath caught in my throat. No one had called me that in so long. To everyone else, I was the woman with the issue of blood, the unclean one. But to him, I was daughter. He called me his daughter. He didn't just heal my body, he healed my heart. Your faith has healed you, he continued, and the words sank deep into my heart. It wasn't just the touch of his robe, it was the belief that he could do what no one else could. Go in peace and be free from your suffering. Tears streamed down my face as I realized I was no longer the same woman I had been moments before. He didn't just heal my body, he restored my identity, my dignity, my hope. I wasn't just a broken woman seeking a miracle. I was his daughter, whole and loved. Whew. I love this story. I just love it because I think we can all relate of times of feeling isolated, maybe lonely, and just to know that he sees us. And I just love that part of where he looks at her and he calls her daughter. And anyways, I just love sharing this with you guys. And tomorrow we will be doing day 5. So I will see you then.